We are. We are live. Good morning. This is our final week of cybersecurity. We are so excited. So we are Team Logic, and I am your host, Tracy Crosshorn. This is Wayne Crosshorn and Jeremy McGowan. The goal of our talks here is IT is ever changing, and so we want to be the ones to be able to educate you and support our business community. So you can find us here live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and we look forward to seeing you. So if you have questions, it doesn't have to be on cybersecurity. It can be anything. So you can pop questions here in the live. At the end, we will look and answer anything that we can. And if you catch us on the replay, just put that you're watching the replay and I will get your questions later. So today, I hope you all had a great Memorial Day weekend. I just want to take 1 second and honor our men and women who sacrificed the ultimate price for our freedom. And for those of you who are watching and have served or are still serving, thank you so much. So here we go. Today, first question. I think, Wayne, I'm going to go to you.
Okay.
I know that many people are aware of firewalls, and they provide security and website control access. So, but what else do they do?
So firewalls do a lot of things. First of all, kind of a basic of how a firewall works. It really helps a business do a group policy management of how all the employees use the internet and email. If you think about it, an analogy of it would be if you can imagine an office with, say, 20 employees, and instead of having one door in and a reception area where you can really monitor who's all going in and out and what's coming in and out, imagine if every office had access to the outside, to the street outside. It'd be really hard to manage. So what a firewall does is it centralizes everything. And so, yes, websites that you can get access to, and actually to an individual basis, because you may have some employees who may need access to some types of websites and maybe you don't want others to have. But it does more. It helps maintain what can be sent out and received through email. Probably a lot of people have seen the past where you tried to send the file and it got stripped out when it got to the user. So those are some other things. You can control the content. Executable files is a big one. You know, a lot of companies don't want those coming in without being really scrutinized. And there's other things as well. It prevents people on the outside from logging into a PC inside, which is definitely good security, unless you have a VPN. And that's what a lot of the firewalls offer, is the ability to set up dedicated VPNs for people to remote in, like a remote desktop. So lots of things that they can do. They're very important for businesses to have.
Okay. Often we see, Jeremy, I'm going to direct this to you.
Sure.
Often we see businesses with antivirus and firewalls, but not both.
Mm-hmm.
So does a business need both? Should they have both?
Absolutely. There is no question that every business should have both. Firewalls, like Wayne said, protect the inside of the network from the things that are outside and regulate the traffic to the network. But inside the network, you also need protection from viruses on any machine. A virus can still get through a firewall, although if you have an updated firewall with the appropriate security, the chances of that are greatly decreased. However, all devices need an antivirus program because things do slip through.
Okay. My second question is, a lot of times the firewalls are provided by their ISP, their internet service provider. Mm-hmm. So is that good enough?
Most of the time, those devices are really just routers that do some sort of packet filtering or traffic filtering, but they do not have the advanced features that can regulate website traffic by category, we'll say. Sure, there's plenty of inappropriate things out on the internet that should be filtered in the workplace. And they don't get updated often. Don't have the advanced security features like deep packet inspection, intrusion protection, and other things that a commercial firewall comes with, and that every business should have in place. Those systems do a minimal job, but they don't provide a customer with true updated security.
Okay, well, that's good to know. What about our remote employees? You know, do they need a firewall at home?
In an ideal situation, yes. There are some software firewalls out there that can be deployed on laptops, but again, if a hardware firewall can be in place at the point where the internet connection comes in, your entire network is far more secure. There are some small office, home office firewalls from different manufacturers. Cisco makes one, Sophos makes a couple. Those little devices provide a lot more security for a user at any internet connection. Also, having a firewall having a firewall at the office would allow the users to remotely connect into the office using a VPN, which we have deployed lots of since the oncoming of this pandemic, unfortunately. And it provides a secure tunnel for traffic between the user who is working at home and their office resources, and all that traffic is encrypted. So even if it was intercepted by a hacker, it cannot be interpreted.
Oh, that's really good. Okay.
I think also I want to add one thing, and just something Jeremy touched on, is that firewalls, you should, if a business has one, it should have an active license on it, because those things do have updates. You know, like we were talking about antivirus last week, you know, you need the active license to get those updates. Firewalls are the same way.
Can you
That's absolutely correct, Wayne. The manufacturers require that because that supports their research and development teams, which keep those security updates coming out.
Yep.
Okay, so when you say license, can you go a little further?
Yes, yeah, actually, it's a good point. So there's lots of options. The firewall manufacturers will have, they can do a monthly license, they'll do a 1-year term, a 2-year term, a 3-year term. So it's the license option that you purchase with firewall or renew. So a lot of times what happens, people will have firewalls and they will let it lapse and they won't renew those. And now you're kind of letting your guard down on your security.
Gotcha. Okay. So when most businesses have Wi-Fi in their office, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that businesses should know about their Wi-Fi configuration?
Okay, so yes, there are a couple of main things I want to touch on, and then, you know, Jeremy may have some things he wants to add as well. I think one of the first ones we see is we'll see a password that is the company name with the date they started, or a lot of times restaurants will have the phone number of the restaurant. As we talked about a couple weeks ago, good password, you know, randomly generated passwords with capitals and lowercase, numbers, characters. You want a good secure password. The other thing to keep in mind is that often businesses want to have a guest Wi-Fi access. And it's important that you separate those two. The guest has no way, it's totally isolated from getting into your internal network. So many of the firewalls offer these sorts of things that you can do. So you can have a very secure password for internal employees, and then you can have a guest that only allows access to the internet. Anything you want to add on that, Jeremy? Only
that the wireless should be using the strongest encryption available on the device. The most highly deployed one right now is AES 256, is a military standard. And it basically guarantees the security in the transmission of traffic, because it is highly encrypted. Again, if intercepted, cannot be used or interpreted.
Okay, well, I think that might be all we have. Wayne, what's coming up next week?
So next week, we're going to wrap up the series of 4 cybersecurity, and we're going to cover disaster recovery. So you can put in all the best strategies and tools, nothing's 100%. So you need a backup plan. So whether it is a successful ransomware attack, or, you know, hey, we live in Florida, right? And we've already had one named storm out in the Atlantic. and June 1st is coming up. So, you know, fires, sprinklers in the IT room, anything can take you out of your equipment. So what you want is something that will have everything backed up so you can quickly get back to operation again. And we're going to go into that in a lot more detail next week.
Okay, great. Jeremy,
Yes.
what is your tip for today?
So we get a lot of questions about what PCs a customer should buy, whether it be for themselves, for work, or for their home, or for their student who may be going off to college. Obviously, there's tons of options out there. And Team Logic, as you know, for our viewers, we are a partner with every major manufacturer in the country, or I should say in the world, for hardware. And one of the prime questions that comes up is whether we recommend brand new OAs or sometimes would recommend refurbished for customers. And the answer to that typically is, it's like buying a used car, right? You want to get something that's got a warranty from the manufacturer. If a customer is okay with using a refurbished device, they can actually save sometimes as much as a third on their investment. And it may very well come with a 1 year to a 3-year warranty. So in that case, that could very well be a viable solution for the customer. But we encourage our customers to reach out to us because there is a plethora of options, and sometimes it can be very hard to sort through. And we're happy to do so.
Very good. All right.
Any questions?
There are none at this point. So if y'all have any questions, just like I said, drop them in. We'll get to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you next week for our final week of cybersecurity. Y'all take care.
Bye.